Hey everyone, and welcome to Method's Guide to Godfall Quarry for Fellowship's Early Access release. My name is Tactyks, and in this video I'll go over the most important trash abilities, a simple pug-friendly route, as well as tips and tricks for the final boss encounter with the Godfall Titan. Keep in mind that all the info in this video is based on pre-early access content, so it is possible that some things have changed since then. Also, if you're someone looking for more Fellowship Guide content, make sure you check out the Method YouTube channel, as we've got videos covering the remaining dungeons as well as all the heroes available during early access. With that out of the way, let's dive into this instance, starting with the most common trash mob you'll face in Dredges. These guys don't do much of anything until you've made it into the Adept League and the Vair's Legacy affix is active, at which point they'll gain Throw Stone, which is just a hit they do to their aggro target shortly after being engaged, so make sure your tank is the one pulling these mobs. These guys are commonly mixed in with Taskmasters, which will just target the tank with Sweeping Hook, applying a bleed to them and anyone around them, so you'll want to either stay away from your tank when this ability goes off, or use a CC to stop that cast entirely. Next up, we've got Skitter Shards, another mob that does nothing until Vair's Legacy is active, where they'll now explode on death, applying the stacking Crystalline Corruption Magic Dot and Healing Reduction to all players. While this can be dispelled and removed with things like a Mass Dispel Relic, these stacks are also removed when the target receives a heal, giving healers another way to play around this ability. Moving on to a CC immune mob in this area, we've got the Enforcers, who have a nasty tank hit in Piercing Strike, which reduces your armor by 20% for 6 seconds, so make sure you have defensive coverage for both the hit and the debuff. When Vair's Legacy is active, they'll also gain Reflective Shield, which channels towards a random player and reflects all abilities back at players within 180 degrees after the cast completes. When this happens, you want to make sure you quickly move to the other side of the mob to avoid this hit, and ranged players especially will want to make sure that they're playing fairly close to melee when fighting these mobs, just so that they can make this movement easier. For the ranged mobs in this instance, we've got the Nazari Bolters, and they'll just channel Bolt Barrage for random target damage, so make sure you're ready with a CC or interrupt to stop this channel. For casters, first up are Godfall Wardstones, which are stationary mobs that just channel Searing Beam into random players, so be ready to interrupt or CC these casts. These mobs also have the Brittle passive, making them vulnerable after an interrupt or CC happens, so make sure you swap to them and quickly focus these mobs down while they're taking bonus damage. Eventually, your path will fork into 2 directions, though these paths do quickly reconnect and contain the same set of mobs, so there's not a huge difference between them. That being said, my route takes the left path, so that's why I recommend you go. In this area, you'll encounter a couple new mobs. First up are the Quarry Stalkers, who have no abilities until Vair's Legacy is active, at which point they gain Poisonous Strike, which they'll cast on a random player after teleporting next to them. This will apply a dot to them if successful, so ideally you want to use a CC or interrupt to stop the cast, but if it does go off, you can use a Dispel to remove it. The main caster in this area are the Arcane Wardens, whose important ability is Psionic Horror, which is an AoE fear around a random player. You want to prioritize interrupting or CCing this cast, however if you do miss it and it doesn't target your healer, they are actually able to dispel the fear since it's a magic effect. Outside of that, these mobs will just spam cast Torment at your tank, so use spare interrupts to reduce that damage. The final mob you'll encounter are the Enraged Earth Elementals, and these guys just have a single ability in Shatter, which deals a hit of group damage and applies a stacking damage amp to all players. This is a magic debuff, so having Mass Dispel Relics are very useful when fighting these mobs, otherwise you'll just need to be ready with group defensives or personals as your stack count gets higher. That brings us to my recommended route, where initially you'll clear a path down the left side of the instance until the paths fork, at which point you'll head down the left path as I mentioned earlier, hugging the right side after the bridge to avoid some of the packs in this area. Once the paths reconnect, you'll do a single pull before they fork again, where this time you'll go down the rightmost path before finishing off everything in your path as you head towards the final boss. That means it's time to talk about the Godfall Titan, which is a stationary boss, so tanks make sure you stay in melee range, otherwise he'll start to swing on random players. Notably, the Titan isn't actually alone, as another boss mob named Varith Vorn is also present during this encounter. However, he's immune to damage, so you don't actually ever hit him. Instead, he just adds a few mechanics for your group to deal with, where his main ability is Magic Missiles. These just fire off at random players and aren't too dangerous on their own, however they can be quite scary if they overlap with other damaging abilities, such as the Titanic Slam. When this cast starts, 2 circles will appear in front of the Titan, and you'll need at least 1 player in each soak to take the hit, otherwise it'll deal a large amount of damage to all players. These soaks do split damage between everyone inside it, so I recommend having your tank solo one with a defensive, and the rest of your group split the other in order to make it as safe as possible for those non-tank players. The other form of group damage comes from Vera's second ability in Mana Bomb, which drops on the ground after the random target volatile energy dot expires or is dispelled. From there, the bomb will explode after a short delay, dealing damage reduced by distance. So when this debuff goes out, you want the targeted player to run away from your group, get dispelled, and then run back towards your group to minimize that damage. Dealing with this bomb gets a bit more complicated when Vera's Legacy is active, as the boss will now occasionally summon 2 Godfall Wardstones at the entrance of the room. These are the exact same as the previously encountered trash mobs, so you want to have your DPS players quickly swap to them and interrupt or CC their Searing Beam cast to make them vulnerable and then burst them down. The spawning of these adds always overlaps with a mana bomb going out, so when this happens, you'll want to delay dispelling until the wardstones are defeated, giving your group enough time to run back towards the boss and reduce the explosion's damage. This means the debuffed player will be taking some extra damage, so it's a good time to use a personal or give them an external. The final ability to be aware of is Arcane Surge, which is a combo that shoots out 3 beams across the platform in a random pattern, either shooting across the left side, the right side, or the front near the Titan. Each area can only be covered once per cast of the ability, so use that knowledge to your advantage when it comes to positioning. Also, keep in mind the boss does not melee while doing this combo, so tanks have 10 or so seconds of freedom to do things like turn around and help damage any active wardstones. Just make sure you have enough mobility to get back to the boss when the combo finishes. But that wraps up this video, guys. Hopefully you found it useful, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Fellowship Guide content, including videos covering the remaining dungeons as well as all the available heroes. My name is Tactyks, signing off until next time. Good luck out there, fellows.